diminished in light. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Twisted Frets. Good morning, Twisted Threads. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, those who'll be able to follow. This video will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you happen to miss us now, know that you'll be able to see it a little bit later at your own time, which I always like, because if your schedule is anything like mine, you never know what's coming up next, but that's the exciting time. So glad that you clicked the button, joined us today, are looking to listen. And today we want to talk about setting priorities. And so as we have talked in previous videos about the world is waiting for you and us being able to move forward and do things in our life, one of the important tasks that we have to complete is setting priorities. So first things first. Well, usually priorities come and we can think off the top of our head what they are, but a lot of times we need the opportunity to write it down. Why? Because we might forget. And so the easiest way for you to remember is to write something down, record it, whether it's in pen and paper or electronically, and setting different goals for ourselves. So before you set a goal, you got to say, so what's the priority? Because if you set a goal and you don't shift your mindset to think about what the priorities are, well, then it just stays a dream that you dream about, and it's not something that you really are looking to accomplish. But when we're thinking about goal setting and dream casting and vision casting, setting priorities becomes that number one thing that you need to do. So talking about how to set priorities, well, making a list. Sometimes you got to sit still. You know, we do oftentimes get so busy, but whether it's a holiday, whether you take a day off, whether you just are looking to hit the reset button and be able to see and know and do different things in your life, it becomes important for you to say, so what do I want to do? And we'll talk a little bit more in later videos about how you set your why and how you achieve your goals. But first we want to talk about setting priorities so that you can get to, so what goals will you set for yourself? So normally the goals that you set for yourself as you set your priorities allow you the opportunity to say, how will I spend my time? How will I spend my money? How will I spend my additional resources, which might be friends and networking and people that can come together with me? And then how can we link up and do some things? And so there's a journey to that. We hear the adage, Rome wasn't built in a day. And so we've got to give ourselves time to think, time to process, time to figure out what is it that we're trying to do with our lives. So setting priorities. My priorities when I was 21 was a lot different than at my age now. And I'm not ashamed. You know, I'm 45. Some of us on here are still 29, but you know, you keep on doing 29. The water is fine over here. When we talk about setting priorities, first things first, getting time to be reflective about what do we really want to do. And some of that means that we got to take off the mask. You know, we talk about that often, about presenting our authentic selves. So what is the world sometimes missing when we try to be like somebody else, when we may be stuck in different thoughts and different things that we can do? But setting priorities gives us time to say, so what do I really want to do? Do I want to go back to school? Why do I want to go back to school? And you know, these questions are important, because if you've ever completed a college application, they dig into questions and they want to know your writing skills, but they ask you questions of, you know, how will this program assist you in your personal and career goals? You know, that's a famous question. It's like, well, I mean, the easy answer is it would allow for more advancement and allow me to make a higher income, but usually they want more details than that. So when we think about the priority setting, writing things down. So do you have priority on school, priority on home, priority on career, priority in ministry, priority in health and wealth and fitness, and just even getting better at how do you improve your emotional state? And so all of these different things that come into play usually require a reflective moment first. After that reflection, after you thought about it. Then you take the pen to the pad, you get your notepad, you get, you call on the Siris and the Googles and all of that other stuff, and you're able to say, these are the things that I want to do. And there are a lot of, electronic assistants that you can use. You can use one of the handheld tape recorders, so voice recorders. However you get it done and however it will connect with you when you go back to retrieve it, the biggest thing is record it first and then record it in a way that you can go back to it. And so I do that often. I go back and see, so where am I on the list? It allows us to really do a checkpoint. I know a lot of times when I go to the mall, because I go to the mall a lot, we see the directory. And in the directory, it always has usually it's a red little button and it says, you are here. And so as we are taking thought for the priority setting, we've also then the next step have to say, so where am I today? And then as you make the list of where am I today and you reflect on it, sometimes you got to make a list because there's some prerequisites that need to happen. And so I've talked about this a little bit before, but we'll mention it again. When you go to apply for college courses and you register, the first thing is getting accepted into a program. But when you look through the coursework for the program, they usually list what courses you have to take for the program and if there are any prerequisites. And pretty much prerequisites means what do you need to know before you come and put yourself in this class, in this course. And so when we think about that for life, there's a lot of things that sometimes we miss things. If you never learned how to balance a checkbook, chances are finances are going to continue to be a struggle for you. If you lived in poverty or below the poverty level as a young child, sometimes your relationship with money may not be as healthy as you can have it. And some of those things require that as you're thinking about things, it's not so much that you want to put debt on top of more debt on top of more debt. I know I hear a lot of people mention about, I want to get my master's, I want to go after my doctorate, but these student loans that I have right now are too high. And so some of that requires for you to figure out, okay, how do I pay some of this debt down now? Do I need a second job? Do I need to, cut off the cable, keep the internet so that we can be connected? But do I pay for a larger data plan and not have to worry about internet at all? Whatever it is, there are prerequisites that we have to set for our lives. A lot of us, we may have did things that appear to other people to be out of order, so it's like if you have a baby before marriage, some people see that as out of order. I say wait because it's a lot of work and you're going to need those 2 extra hands, if nothing else. But whatever your religious thoughts and the things and the tenets and the values that you have for your family, those are the things that you push forward. And so some folks never even think to take time to think about what's the values that I have set for my family. And some of them are intrinsic because you teach them, because your grandmother and great grandmother taught, and they were taught to your mother and they were taught to you and you teach them to your children. But sometimes priority setting is not something that we actually talk about with our children. It's not something that maybe we have learned, but today we want to talk about it because we want to teach about how do you do it. So we talked about having time to be reflective, making lists. We talked about, and I'm writing some of this stuff down. We talked about the prerequisites. And then after the prerequisites, because prerequisites just give you the thing. So what do I need to know? So if I'm going to buy a house, I need to know what's on my credit report. Possibly what does my credit look like? What's my credit score? Are there any derogatory items on my credit report? That prerequisite of buying a house just says, go and get a credit report, read it, review it, understand it, find somebody that'll help you walk you through it because that's important for you to know. So that knowledge becomes power. But when you receive the credit report, sometimes there's something else that happens. And that something else that happens is it may show some obstacles that will be in your way. So maybe your student loan is too high. Maybe your medical bills are too high. Maybe you were late on some payments. Maybe you had a bankruptcy. There are a lot of different things that create obstacles in our lives, and they are real. So we want to address them before we kind of push forward with our goals, but they're part of the goal. So when you're planning, I know I have a video and it talks about detours and bathroom breaks in our lives. And so when you are setting to plan and you're setting priorities for yourself, you also want to think about what obstacles are you going to need. So if you're going on a long road trip, normally we do trust without a doubt our GPS, but a lot of us, I'm a little bit old school. So I still go through and I scroll and I'm like, okay, directions. Where is it telling me to go? Oh, it's saying go I-280. I don't think that's the best way. Let's go I-287 and see if that takes us a different way. So you get to assess that whole. You are here. So where are you right now? Where do you need to go? But the other thing that you need to do when you're relying on your GPS is this. Check your gas levels. Make sure you got oil in your car. Make sure your fluids are filled. All of those things, you did that before you left for the trip. And if you didn't do it, chances are you're going to get some bumps in the road that you really didn't expect. And they're going to delay you and they're going to cause different situations and may cause more stress. So when we think about that, I talk a lot in analogy. So I try to make it plain in a sense for my folks who just want to hear it straightforward is things are going to get in your way. And you need to prepare yourself so that when those things get in your way, they do not knock you off course. But because I speak in analogies, I try to give you a visual that I'm not able to show you, so I speak it. And so the visual that I'm giving you is when you're taking a trip, and that road trip, you want to make sure you got water, want to make sure you got your jumper cables just in case. You want to make sure you got a blanket and all of the emergency things, maybe some Band-Aids. You got to make sure you got money for the tolls. You got to make sure that you have everything you need. And then there's another thing. You got to plan for the stop if you're going on a long trip that you may need to refill your gas tank. And so that really is one thing that we don't always talk about a lot is what does that mean in our lives and our activities when we need to refill our gas tanks. So usually you're like, okay, I've got a half a tank of gas. I could go an hour and a half before I need to fill that back up. But you put that on your kind of to-do list of this is the stop. Because if you run out of gas, that's an obstacle that is hard to recover from while you're sitting on the side of the road. And whether the weather is hot, warm, cold, that's time that is adding to your travel time to allow you to get to your destination. So priorities. I just wanted to talk about that. And a lot of times when I come on here, I hit a lot of different points, but I wanted us to focus on priorities because the things that we set for ourselves to do, guess what? As we set them, we're able to measure them. We're able to set maybe small celebrations and they get done. So I'm reminded of a former boss that I had. And I just recall him always saying, what gets measured gets done. So whatever you're paying attention to, those are the things that you are putting your focus, you're putting your time, you're allowing your vision to grow and swell and expand in a way that will bring you profit, not just in your pocket, but profit in a better, abundant life, profit in a peaceful existence in the earth, because we can reduce the stress if we plan. So a lot of times, carpenters, you hear, measure twice, cut once, because you want to make sure that before you start on a journey, it's something that's attainable. So I would like to be a millionaire, but if I don't go to work every day or obtain new skills or figure out how to invent something or do something innovative to be able to get me to that $1 million, chances are that just becomes a dream. Unless I'm playing Powerball, because they got a close to almost 100 million at this point. So if you will play on that, that's not my business where you spend your dollars, but it's a thing, And so as we think about that, we want to think about the obstacles and the barriers and write them down. The reason why you also want to write down the obstacles and barriers is this: so that you can expect it. Because if you expect an interruption to say, I got a meeting at 10 o'clock, at 9:55, you've already been prepared to, maybe you had to get some paperwork together, you had to do some things to kind of prepare for the meeting. But then when 10 o'clock comes and you get that knock on the door and it's like, hey, it's time for our meeting, or you busy, you are ready for it. And so that's what the writing down of obstacles and barriers. But again, being truthful, some of this stuff, maybe you got to Google it. Maybe you got to figure out what it is. What does it take? Maybe you have to go to a credit counseling class. Maybe you need to do some career counseling. Maybe you need to do some emotional counseling. These are all things that will set you up for success because you've handled the prerequisites of what are you going to need on your journey. And you've also identified what obstacles or barriers might get in your way. So I got great news for a friend of mine who's pushing forward with their next And it's funny because what she shared with me was kind of a reminder and one of our previous videos talking about accountability partners. And so now I've got an accountability partner because I have some aspirations that I'm going forward with and some declarations that I made. And so now I've got to walk in them. And I shared that portion of my life and my testimony with you so that you understand that this is not like I'm just giving you application and I'm saying, go do this, go forth and figure it out for yourself. I am doing things in my own life to create change that I want to see, but I want to do it in a peaceable way. I want to do it in a way that doesn't bring stress, doesn't stress out or stretch my pocketbook too much. Although I understand that it will take a financial investment, I've already decided that I'm worth the cost. So I've counted the cost. I know what the cost is in a monetary sense, but I also know what the cost is as it relates to my time, the use of my resources, the fact that me saying yes to my aspirations mean I have to say no to people, to places and things. And it's okay to say no. We are grown people. You know, you're 2-year-olds. I love toddlers. Why do I love toddlers? Because we always call it the terrible twos, but some of mine never got out of the terrible twos when they start talking. My granddaughter, Melinda, is not yet 2 years old. She's 1. I don't count the months. You go ahead with that. If that's what you think, 16, 17, 18 months. She is 1 year old. She knows how to say no. And she is not ashamed or polite about saying no when she feels that a no is necessary. Now, she could be wrong in what she is saying no to and trying to dismiss, but she is very determined to let you know that's going to be a no for me. And so we got to take on that posture for ourselves to understand that if we say that we believe that we're worth it, we literally are teaching people how to love us, how to support us as we have set our priorities and what goals they can kind of help and assist us with. So thinking about all of those things. Now, as you make the list, you made your list. Not trying to put numbers on it. You're just making a list. What are things? I want to buy a house. I want to complete my degree. I want to clean up my credit. I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to move to another location. I want to visit another country. I want to learn another language. And you just put them down. Just put them down. Don't stress yourself out like, what's first? What's second? Don't do that. You just write them down. What are the things? And let your mind dream wild. Take the parameters and the chains off your brain and think about, I want to go feed the homeless in Ethiopia, or, I want to help some places in Haiti or Europe, like places all over the world. I love it because when we set our priorities, we get to see what things are possible for us. And some things we want to write on our list, we want to write the impossible, the things that we don't even think we could do. I mean, and I know that sounds crazy, but if you don't have an impossible dream, then chances are you won't need to link up with other people to get it done. But if you get an impossible dream, when you take those chains off your mind and completely turn your mindset around, you get to believe that the impossible is possible. And so that's great. It takes it takes a lot of exercise, and we got to exercise our faith, and we talk about that, and we'll talk more about that with vision casting. But it's an important thing for you to write down the impossible things, to record the impossible things. I think that I'll be able to mend a relationship with one of my children. I think that I'll be able to, find my long lost mother or father or parent, or maybe I was an adopted child and I'm looking for my birth parents and I want to have that connection. That may seem impossible for you when you're writing it down on your list, but it doesn't matter because you're going to just write the list. And so once you write the list, here's the next thing. And this is probably the most important thing. After you write the list, leave the list alone. Let the list sit. Let it sit for at least 48 to 72 hours and let those things that you wrote down marinate. And give yourself 48 to 72 hours and then revisit the list again. The second time you revisit the list, check the list. So, make the list, check it twice. Make sure you got everything on there. If you feel that you successfully recorded everything that you want to do in maybe the next year, and maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, or maybe just your bucket list, before I die, I want to do this, and this. Now, you've got it. You got your list. We can celebrate that. That should be something to celebrate. I don't know how you celebrate. Maybe you'll run 5 miles. Maybe you'll eat some cake and ice cream. Maybe you'll just sit still somewhere. But whatever your form of celebration, you get the opportunity to say, yes, I'm one step closer, even though you may feel like I didn't do anything. But the fact of the matter is that when you set your priorities and you record them and write them down, you actually introduce them as a seed. So you create the seed within the world. Now, the next thing is to plant the seed, and then we got to water the seed. But the seed can't be created unless that dream is somehow created into a seed. And so you writing it down and you recording it. Isn't this good? Hopefully it's good to you, because it's good to me. You create the seed by writing it down. Then you figure out, what am I planting first? So right now in my little backyard, I got a little space, and I decided I was going to plant some stuff. And I know I got broccoli out there. I think I got green peppers, and I got something else. I can't remember what I planted. So now I got to wait to see what I actually planted until it grows out. And then we'll all be surprised, and we'll have vegetables, and we'll create a salad or something with the stuff that I grew myself. So I see the little, the sprouts of the broccoli, and I'm excited about it because it's like, oh, wow. I grew something. I'm a city girl. I don't know anything about this country living. And so I'm based in North Carolina. And of course, that's a lot of country. We grow stuff out here, but it's a new experience for me. And so now I'm not yet Farmer Karen, but we're working on it. And so as we work on it, it's a lot of different opportunities that we have to experience new things. Those things should also be on your list. So now you made your list. You checked it twice. You left it again. So this should be over time. Understand, I said Rome is not built in a day. You will not get to your goals in one day. And if you rush yourself too fast, odds are you are going to affect your health and your mental well-being, because you're going to stress yourself out. We want to do this in a stress-free way. We want to do this in a way that is going to be celebrated for every step that we take. For every milestone that is reached, we have an opportunity to celebrate. So now, usually should be after a week's time. You sat with it. You're excited. You ran your miles. You ate your cake. Maybe you did both. Maybe you got to the gym. But that might be a goal as well. So you didn't yet get there, but you've created the seeds. And now you're thinking about, so what do I want to plant first? This time you want to go back to the list and put a number 1, 2, 3. And you can have a 1A, 1B, 1C, 2, 2A, 2B, 2C. So if your goal is to buy a house, the prerequisites become A, B, and C. Check my credit, make sure I save some money, figure out where I want to live. Those might be A, B, and C. But this is how you break down a priority and create a goal out of it. So, setting priority, creating a goal out of it. Two separate things, but very much intertwined and connected. Love it, because that goes in line with our twisted threads. And how do we twist those threads together to create a beautiful tapestry? Well, that's why we're here. That's why we've taken the time this morning to go over things. And so wanted to just leave you with this last thing. So we talked about celebrating the small wins and the big milestones, but you also have to schedule the celebrations. So if you're planning on doing something and you know that the dates are coming, again, the more that you plan, the more that you forecast what's going to be ahead, the more that you go through and you check that GPS just to make sure that she or he, I don't know what your voice is, mine is a lady. And I'm like, all right, Sue, where are you taking us today? Oh, okay. All right, I can follow you. That allows your mind to be at ease. And so what happens is, as we are trying to change our mindset, the first thing that needs to happen is it's got to be in usually as stress-free of an environment as you can. And the reason for that is this. You can stretch your mind and be stressed out, but your body will reject what it is that you just learned. Your body, like your whole being, will be like, I don't like that. I don't want to go back there. Whatever she told us to do, don't do that anymore. But if we release and reduce the stress that comes with that stretching of the mindset, our bodies will be like, that was nice. We should do that again. I know it might sound crazy, but think about it. Do it. It's like, oh, I don't even know how to get my credit report, how to do it. Go to annualcreditreport.com. You're able to get a report from each of the bureaus once a year, and it's free. And I love it because I shared that information in another investment group that I belong to, and somebody gave the suggestion of get one of your reports from each of the bureaus every 4 months, so that continually during the year, you're able to check your credit 3 times in a year. Isn't that amazing that you always have access, that you don't ever lose it and be like, I don't know what my what my credit report looks like, or did somebody try to steal my credit, or is there anything that I need to be trying to clean up? That knowledge, that continual impact, you continue to be able to do it, is not an issue, and you can move forward with it in a great way. And so just wanted to leave you with those things. So we talked about the obstacles. Talk about it with somebody, because sometimes, okay, outside of this video, I'm a bit of a drama queen, but I have acted on stages. But sometimes I forget they said cut or the curtain closed and those things. I can be a bit of a drama queen. And so I can literally, you hear people say, making a mountain out of a molehill. Well, you got to figure out where that comes. You got to figure out where that goes in your life. Settle yourself. Get you some friends, some network. I know scriptures say, you want to be a friend, you got to show yourself friendly. So show yourself friendly so you can get some friends. Maybe we'll talk about friendships and the things that go along with that. But when we're thinking about friendships, and we want to figure out the people that are in our circle. And part of it is because sometimes we got to verbalize the obstacles. And it's not so much that we're verbalizing them to bring them in the atmosphere, but we literally need to cast them out of our circle. And so we said prerequisites for the things that we need to do to break down the priorities. And literally, when you get to the end of this exercise, you will have set some goals for yourself and you didn't even know it. And so that also gets to be celebration. Yes, I like celebration. I call myself a professional party crasher because I think that things in life deserve to be celebrated. And so if you know that last year you made a promise to yourself and today that promise is not even started, but you yet didn't write it down, take that opportunity to celebrate the fact that you wrote it down, that you set it as a priority in your life. And so talking about those friends and those people who need to be in your circle. Well, find an investment group. Find a group of, mommy knitters. Whatever it is your passion is, find people who are like-minded. Why? Because as you start talking about your obstacles, you don't want to talk about them in a defeated mindset, but you want to talk about them in a way that brings life to say, I've released that thing and now I'm able to make room. A lot of us, we do spring cleaning. We got a little bit more time until spring is up, but I think we've entered the unofficial summer. So we're ready to put our coats and our jackets and boots away. Although here in North Carolina, you wear boots all year long. Just want to say that. Love it here. I might wear boots today. Why? Because I can. As we think about having all of those things, we've got to get rid of things in order to receive things. But we also understand that closed hands can't receive. So as you're giving, that spirit of reciprocity, the cycle of reciprocity, which means, you reap what you sow. If you're giving love, you'll sow more love. If you are giving peace, you will, you'll be able to reap. So whatever you are sowing, it's going to come back to you. And so, understand that there is time for that harvest, the same type of thing when we're thinking about the priorities. So to wrap us up, setting priorities is an important part to our life. We've got another video about accountability partners and how they'll be able to help you identify and set priorities. Think out of the box. Put impossible things on your list. Something that you can't do by yourself. The other thing with not having something that you can't do by yourself, it causes you to need to connect to other people. But chances are that thing that you can't do by yourself will ignite the passion and purpose in someone else's life. So you literally get to link arms and grow in strength as you share those things. So we set priorities. We've listed prerequisites to things that we needed to do to make the goal possible. And then we've also listed, or at least thought about and reflected on the obstacles might come. And understanding that in our list, we're going to write the list, no order. We just, everything that comes to our mind, give yourself a couple of hours to think about it and then write it down. As you're writing it down, leave that list for 48 to 72 hours and then come back to it. See if you still agree with everything that's on the list. Don't erase the impossible dreams, only add to them. them. Do not erase the impossible dreams. Only add to them. But as you're going through it, look at it again. If there's something else to add on it, add. If there's something else you're like, nope, that's not even for me. That was my mother's dream. But we'll talk about that another day. That was my father's dream. That was me wanting to honor them in a particular way. As you go through that list and you feel like, yeah, this is good. Understand this. This list, this priority list, yeah, it's to be continued. So I want to give you that disclaimer. The only thing that should end as a period in your life is literally your death. If you are alive, if you are breathing, you have an opportunity to change circumstances, to impact the world, to inspire someone, and literally to transform your thinking and your life. And so that's what we're here for at Twisted Threads. I hope that something you hear on here is helpful. Remember to like us on our Facebook page. You can follow us on YouTube. It's Twisted Threads LLC. And we'll continue to show. Yes, the website is being released. I'm looking to do that first of the month so that you all will be able to get all of this information and learn more about the opportunities that we have at Twisted Threads to work with you, to inspire you, to impact you, and to transform your lives and give you the equipment that you need to empower you to go and take these messages to the entire world. So no region is off limits. We're worldwide. We're glad that you joined us. Thanks so much. See you next time. Twisted Threads. Have a good day.